So hello again. Grace wanted to make another video, so I asked her, what kind of video do you want to make today? And what did you say?
Bags.
Yep. So she wants to talk about the bags.
Like me.
So the different kinds of bags, once you get past the really fundamental stuff of how to punch, how to move, get yourself warmed up. Once you're to a point where you can start hitting things without hurting yourself, that's a good point to start thinking about different kinds of bags. So the first type that we have right behind us, this is your typical heavy bag. It's cylindrical in shape. And so there's going to be certain things that it's really good for and certain things that it's not as good for. So there are different types of bags for different needs. So coming back here, with a cylindrical bag, it's really good for your straight shots. It's good for hooks. What it's not so good for is uppercuts, because there's really no surface here that's coming out away from here that you're going to hit. So there's another bag we'll talk about in a few minutes that is good for that purpose. So Grace, do you want to demonstrate some of the basic punches on a regular heavy bag? Do you want to go get your gloves? While she's getting her gloves, I'll get mine on. So take this off for a moment. So a little bit about equipment. So what I'm wearing is just a basic speed wrap. This is made by Tidal, but there's a lot of different brands out there that make these. So it's kind of like a glove with a Velcro strap that wraps around. And Grace also has a different brand that.
Mine are like, you have to wrap them up.
Yep. So her strap on it, it's a little longer, so it wraps around more. And then there's the traditional type of wrap, which is really long, and you wrap many, many times around the hand and wrist and through the fingers and all that. So that's the type that a lot of people train with, but it's also mandatory for competition to use more of the long type. And there's a specific way that you wrap. Speed wraps like this are not legal for competition. You're not going to compete with these. They're just for training. They're for convenience. Slip them on like a glove, put the strap around, you're ready. So then gloves. These are the same gloves I was training with in the last video. And Grace has her gloves. Those also happen to be Hayabusa. My boys all have some Tidal gloves, so I'm kind of brand agnostic. I don't use anything in particular. I just use what works and what I like. So coming back here. So one of the things when you start hitting things, and even when you're shadow boxing, but especially when you're hitting, make sure you exhale as you hit. So Grace, if you want to go ahead and do like a jab, and just make sure you emphasize the breathing out as you hit. Yep. So as she hits, I don't know if the microphone could hear it, but you heard kind of a sound. So I'll kind of do it again just to be a little louder to make sure that the microphone picks it up. Get that breath out. Anytime you've got energy going out in the form of a punch, make sure that you're breathing out. So I threw a jab, so you can throw different combinations on the bag. So combinations, for anybody who's not familiar with it, a combination is really just a series of punches in rapid succession that isn't interrupted by stopping or anything else. You're just, like the most basic combination would be like a jab cross. So if you want to show us a jab cross. So real basic. We want to make sure we're using good form. We'll throw that jab. We will throw the cross, so it's going to be turn the hips, turn your shoulders into it, breathe out. What's that? You forgot to breathe. Yep. So a basic jab cross. And we can build on that. We can do more advanced things. So like one of the first combos that I learned after the jab cross was a jab, a cross, then a hook, and then a cross. So with the punch numbers that we use here, it's a 7-2-1-2 is what we call it. Oh. But what it looks like is it's quick, it's effective. I think when you're first learning on a heavy bag, your stamina is probably not going to be very good. I do apologize, I'm a little hoarse today, so if I sound a little rough, I do apologize, but keep things simple, because if you're going to hit a heavy bag for 3 minutes, you're going to get really tired really quick. So long combinations, they're going to wear you out pretty quick. So, you know, I would start off with something simple like just throw a jab for 3 minutes. Now just come over here. Yeah, just doing 3 minutes of that will wear you out. You're going to get tired. So keep things simple. You know, work the jab for 3 minutes. Take a little break. Do a round where you do maybe jab cross for 3 minutes. And you don't have to be over here just constantly doing stuff like that, because you're going to get tired.
Way faster than if you would just go slower.
That's right. So, as my coach likes to say, pace yourself but push yourself. Work at a pace that you don't feel like you're going to fall down out of breath. And pace yourself. So, okay. So the other thing that these bags are good for, because they're so long, most people are used to punching at the same level as their head. We can get down low. So in the previous video, I talked about the jabs to the body, cross to the body, hooks to the body. So everything we throw doesn't have to be up high. We can come down low with our punches. And you want to change things up. So, you know, maybe you do like a jab to the head and an uppercut to the body down low. So something like this. Very quick, very effective, very simple to learn. But just make sure that you're utilizing a good portion of the bag. Obviously, I'm not going to be hitting up here. I'm not going to be hitting down by their knees. But try to think about, if you're competing against somebody, what are the zones that you would be targeting on their body? So, you know, a jab cross, maybe come down, or cross to the body, hook to the body, overhand to the head, things like that. So we want to be utilizing a fair amount of the bag's surface and not just targeting one little area. So Grace, do you want to introduce the other kind of bag? I'll carry the camera. Yep.
This is an aqua bag.
All right, so as she said, this is an aqua bag. And this is really designed for, as she's saying, uppercuts, hooks, overhands, but you notice that it's empty underneath, so you're not going to be working down below it. You're not going to be throwing jabs or crosses to the body unless you lower it down to a lower level. So these are a little bit different because they're filled with a liquid, they're filled with water. And so when you hit them, you notice the last one when I hit it, it moves quite a bit. This one, I can hit that pretty hard and it doesn't move as much. So that water inside is distributing some of the force, which means it's not as likely to start swinging around, especially if you get a heavy hitter. And it's also a little easier on the wrists and joints. So because the force is dissipated throughout the whole thing, it's a little easier on the joints. So as we're saying, as Grace is saying, what these are great for is uppercuts. So with the cylindrical bag, there's really nothing we could hit vertically. With this, there is. So you can come in, maybe with like a jab to an uppercut very easily. Yeah, well, this is a little tall for you, but something like that. It's much easier to do uppercuts on this teardrop shape than it is on a cylindrical bag. So these are great if you're going to be practicing uppercuts or even hooks. So hooks are easy to throw on this. Very easy. Or if you're doing, I'd probably want to lower this a little bit for body stuff, but if you're coming in at an angle, like to the ribs, spin like that. You can also get under these, and sometimes I do that where you're throwing some punches and roll under and hit. So it's also kind of nice for that. One thing about these, because they're so wide, you do want to be thinking about where you're hitting, because as you're throwing a hook, realistically you're not landing out here when you're trying to land a hook on somebody. So you want to be further off to the side so you land your hook more in line with your own body. So like if you're throwing some punches and then you're going to throw a hook, you want to step with it and then hit it. And because of the slope shape on it, these are also pretty good for overhand shots. So if you want to set up an overhand, like a jab to an overhand, this kind of slope shape on here works pretty good for that. So that's an aqua bag. I like them a lot. I use them quite a bit. And then further in the back, which one? That one?
Oops. And then let's do this.
So Grace wants me to show this one. I really never use this one. This isn't my favorite. In fact, I think this might actually be for kicking, but you can also hit it. Yeah. So you got this kind of hourglass shape, which is good for coming in with uppercut at an angle, or even hooks right in this indentation here. I usually don't use those. Now there is a bag that we have several of here in the gym. So these are kind of a more traditional uppercut bag. It's the same kind of teardrop shape as the aqua bag, except this is not an aqua bag. This has regular filling in it just like a regular heavy bag, so when you hit it, it'll swing a little bit more, and it feels a little harder, whereas the aqua bags have a little more give to them when they impact. These are a little more solid. So they don't dissipate force like an aqua bag does. Then, if we move down the line a little bit, this is another one that is actually fairly important. Somebody's got this set pretty high.
This one?
Yep, so that one,
Which is a tiny aqua bag.
so this is fairly high for me, but basically, this is a slip bag. So slipping bags are good for working head movement. Get this thing going back and forth, roll under it, slip back and forth,
This one's pretty good for me.
so stuff like that. It's not really designed to be hit. There's not much weight to it, so if you hit that thing, it's going to go flying. It's going to move around a lot. So not really designed for hitting. It's a training aid for head movement, basically. So lastly, and this is really more along the lines of like a double end bag or a speed bag or something. This isn't really something you're going to be doing power on, but Grace thought it was interesting and was worth mentioning, is Cobra bag. So there's several different designs of these. This one has a spring toward the bottom, so down low. Some of them have them toward the middle, and then some of them are sprung up top. So with the spring down low, it's pretty slow, long travel. It's good for beginners. You can let go. So you can practice head movement, throw out a jab. So these are more about timing, foot movement, moving around the base, keeping your head out of the way so you don't get hit with the thing. And as I said, there's different ways that they're sprung for different actions. So this is good for a beginner, very slow movement, long travel. It's not going to move quickly. And we got some other ones around here, sprung in the middle or sprung up top, which you're going to move a little faster. Okay, that's not really a bag, but we can include that. So I wasn't planning on including this, but since Grace keeps pointing things out, we have this wall-mounted, kind of a block, I guess I'd call it. It's not a bag. But you got contact points, target points in different places. So you got one for like an uppercut. You got two for hooks. You got some overhand ones. You can throw the overhand from the front. So that's what those are. And then over here, this is a wall-mounted, kind of a bob, if you know what a bob is. You see it more in martial arts and MMA stuff.
Bring the camera up to a bob.
What's that?
Bring the to a bob out there.
No, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
So, Grace, I don't know if you want to show this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little high for you. But basically, this is just another thing where instead of a bag, you got something where you can visualize the areas of the body.
And it's good for punching upward
Yep.
and sideward.
So maybe you're gonna, practice throwing a hook right to the solar plexus. So you can hit it right there. Or you're gonna do, a lead uppercut. Or maybe you come around the side and you're gonna throw into the ribs there. So these are good for visualizing the areas of the body that you're going to be targeting. I don't like these as much as a standard bag. They're a little more awkward because they're fixed to a wall. But they do work. People do use them. So I think that's all I'm going to cover for today. My voice is pretty rough and we just got here to the gym and I want to get some training in. So I'm going to end the video. But hopefully that gives you kind of some ideas of bag types, what they're used for, and some ideas of basic things that you can do with them. And again, this isn't meant to take the place of a real coach. This is just to encourage people who are interested. Maybe you've been in a boxing gym, seen it, maybe you went for a tournament or something. You saw this kind of equipment and you were wondering, like, how is all that used? And could I do that? So the answer is yes, you can do that. Boxing is for everyone. That's the whole point of the series and the motto of this gym where I train. So this is to encourage you to see this equipment, to know what it's for, and to start thinking about, well, maybe I could join a gym and I could start doing this stuff because, maybe it looks really fun to you. Or maybe you've seen people doing it for many years and you always wanted to, but, for some reason you felt held back. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.